All right, Thrive Nation, on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show, we are interviewing the man responsible for creating Nickelodeon's hit show, The Fairly Odd Parents. His name is Butch Hartman, but he looks exactly like Jason Bateman, the actor.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, do you know who Jason Bateman is?
Educate me.
He's the main actor from Teen Wolf 2.
Teen Wolf 2.
He looks today's guest looks exactly like Jason Bateman. And yes, he's going to talk to you about how to pitch and sell shows in Hollywood. He's going to teach you about the process for writing a hit TV show. He's going to teach you the importance of not giving up on your goals. But more importantly, he looks exactly like Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Do I look like Jason Bateman?
No.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we
Yes, and yes, Andrew, we are in the air everywhere. And on today's show, we are interviewing an American actor.
Jason Bateman?
No, Andrew, we're not interviewing Jason Bateman. We're interviewing an incredible good man. He's an actor. He's an animator. He's a writer. He's a YouTuber. He's a director. A voice actor. Basically, a lot of things that end with the sound. That's what he does. Butch Hartman, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I thought there were going to be like 8 guys the way you introduced that. That's there's only it's just me. I'm really sorry.
Now I want to ask you this. Now we talk. This is not a political show, but your name.
Right.
There appears to be some. We're in the world. It's the year 2020 or year 2021. There's a lot of political undertones to everything. So Elmer Earl Butch Hartman. Is there a political statement hidden behind the name? What's the origin of the name?
The only political statement is my dad was Elmer Earl Hartman III, and he thought it'd be a great idea to name his firstborn son Elmer Earl Hartman IV, because no kids would make fun of the name Elmer ever. So that was a real good move. And so my dad named me Elmer, and I was called Butch at home. I was called Elmer at school. And then they called me Butch at home as my nickname. So I've been called Butch ever since I was a little kid.
What are your thoughts on Elmer's Glue? I'm sure you've thought about it. I'm sure somebody made a nickname out of it.
I'm excited that it's around. It was kind of a bummer growing up, and then it was Elmer Fudd too. It was Elmer Fudd and Elmer's Glue, and I didn't get a break either way. So still, it made me stronger.
You are a voice actor. Do you do an Elmer Fudd impersonation? Do you do any? Do you go there with your vocal stylings?
Yeah, I think I can do Elmer Fudd. Like, be very, very quiet. I'm hunting wabbits. That's sort of an Elmer Fudd deal there. But yeah, I used to do that one a lot. I've done some voice acting. I don't do it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I mostly direct voices these days, and that's more of my forte.
Let's do this. Let's talk about directing voices. Then we'll get back into and follow some sort of linear path. But I want to get into that because a guy gets in the studio, he reads a line, and then do you say, do it again? Do you say, do it again faster, more intense? Do you say, no, I need you to really bring it? Do you say, what do you do? How does that process work?
It depends on how well I know the person. If I know the person really well, I normally will do a line read for them. I'll say, here's what I want you to say. And I'll go, inflection on this line, da-da-da. Because by the time a voice actor comes into the booth, me and my writers have worked on the script for about 2 months. So we know exactly how we want it. And a voice actor will come in, and believe me, there's some talented voice actors out there. Sometimes they bring a whole new level of something we didn't even think about. They'll bring something great. But other times, they'll say, like, what do you want? I'll say, I want it like this. Great. And they'll deliver it to you. And if the actor has no ego or attitude, they'll give it to you exactly that way. But if sometimes they don't like getting line reads, but I learned to get past that a long time ago. It's like, look, we have to get this recorded. The joke has to land on this line.
Yep.
And you're not doing it right. So I need you to say it this way. So sometimes we have to get a little bit insistent.
How many takes do you have to do to get it right? Because I've watched, a friend of mine growing up in college, and on high school. Ryan Tedder, he's obviously a Grammy Award-winning musician now. He has the hit show Songland, and he shows kind of behind the scenes how Grammy Award-winning songs and hit songs are produced. And you might see people do many takes, 10 takes, 25 takes on hitting the right emphasis on certain syllables, the right pausing, the right. How many times do you do? I mean, is it common for a voice actor to do mini reads?
It depends on the voice actor and depends on the director. A lot of times, if a director knows what they want, it really shouldn't take that many takes, because the director is just trying to get the actor to go right to where their head's at. And okay, I've been in sessions where the director didn't know what they wanted, so the voice actor is in there, even like saying the sentence "Good morning." Good morning. No, do it. I don't really know what I want. So the poor actor will have to do like 65 takes to get the right good morning. And then the director still doesn't know what they want. I just recommend to all directors that you come in knowing what you want, and it'll make the session a lot easier, and it'll make the life easier for the voice actor. And the voice actors really want to give you what they want. They're really good, talented people. But just it helps if everybody has an idea of where they're going. It really does.
Now, you are known now. You're best known for creating the Nickelodeons, the Fairly Oddparents. I'm just gonna guess, where you call home. Do you live in Des Moines, Iowa? Is that the epicenter of creating this hit show, or where do you call home?
How did you know? That's exactly the animation capital. No, I actually live in Calabasas, California.
You do.
I do, yes, and I always say it's where the Kardashians live, but to this day I've never seen a Kardashian here. So,
did you see one of Kanye West's dome homes? Did you see a dome home before they made him take it down?
No, I haven't seen that yet. No.
Do you live in a dome home?
Yes, of course. Well, everybody out here lives in a dome home. It's one of the rules when you move out here. So, but I'm from Michigan originally, and so I, as a kid growing up watching TV, I always wondered, how do you get into the TV? How do you get in there? Because TV is very untouchable when you're a kid in Michigan growing up. And so I ended up coming out to school in the 80s to an animation school out here, and wanted to pursue animation. I wanted to work for Walt Disney Studios. That was my dream. And to this day, I've never worked for Walt Disney Studios. I've worked everywhere else but there.
So you wanted to work, and you said, how many years ago did you move out to LA?
1983, so 8 years ago, which blows my mind.
That's wild. And so you moved out to LA, and like so many people do. And I'm not being disrespectful to people that didn't make it, but the reality is more don't make it than do make it. And I've seen a lot of people, they go out with LA dreams, and they come back with no money. Very little hope, and kind of a cynical attitude towards the industry. And then there are people like you that go out there and are persistent and push through and get to the top. Do you have any tips out there for any aspiring people who are aspiring to get involved in the animation industry or in the movie industry out there in LA?
I do. And I think that the three key words, and I always say it's the three P's, passion, patience, and persistence. And I have a book actually I wrote called Mad Hustle. It's all about pitching and selling shows in Hollywood. It'll tell you everything you need to know how to begin to formulate an idea and get it ready to pitch. I also have a coaching program called Vision Possible, and that's a YouTube channel. And we have 5 teachers every day, live teaching 5 days a week on entertainment, on business, on social media, on leadership, on finance. And we will guide you through a lot of the questions you may have when it comes to whether it's a career in entertainment or a career in some other field. We have a lot of teachers available to you. And, I get these questions all the time, which is why I come up with the YouTube channel and the book. So I really want to encourage other people to get out there and pursue their dreams, because it only happens with you. Your vision also isn't just for you anymore. Your vision's for the generation that's coming behind you. Your vision is going to help others way more than it's helped you. You're going to become a new branch on your family tree, and that's what I want people to realize.
And so if people want to learn more about that program, where can they go again?
YouTube, it's called Vision Possible. And you can also go to visionpossible.net, and you can take our Vision Spectrum quiz. Shows you where you are in your journey to your vision. And then my book is called Mad Hustle. It's all about
Mad Hustle,
basically hustling in Hollywood and how to sell a show. Yeah.
Mad Hustle, how to sell a show in Hollywood. Okay, so now you move out there. When did you feel like you were starting to gain some traction, where people actually, where you felt like maybe this is going to work. Maybe I don't have to go back to, maybe I'm getting some traction. Where was there a certain movie, a certain role, a certain thing? When did you feel like you were getting some traction?
I felt like I was getting some traction. I was in the animation industry. I went to school in '83. I got into the industry in '86. And basically, when you're an artist, when you're a cartoonist, you basically will do anything they ask you to do. Like I was drawing props for one show, I was designing characters for another, and then some opportunities came up. I was in the industry about maybe 9 years, and there was an opportunity. Hey, if you guys want to pitch a show to us, we'd love to hear it. And I was like, wow, we better start coming up with some show ideas. Had no idea how to do it, had no clue, but I knew what I liked. I knew what cartoons I liked. I started drawing some characters going, hey, maybe this is a good idea. I'd pitch it. It would kind of get made. I'd do one pilot, maybe a 7-minute pilot. It would be okay, but it wasn't as good as I wanted. Then I got a chance to do another one and another one. And after doing several pilots on your own, you start realizing what works, what doesn't work. It was around the mid-'90s. I felt like I was getting some traction. And then a real big opportunity came to pitch at Nickelodeon. And I had this little idea called the Fairly Oddparents. And I walked in 97, late 97. And I said, hey, I got this show about this little boy named Timmy Turner. He's got these 2 fairies. They grant his every wish. Oh, and when the parents are around, they live in his room as his pets. And they're like, oh my God, I love that. Let's make a pilot of that. And so suddenly I had to write the pilot. Now I wasn't really a writer at the time. I wanted to be. And then when the opportunity came up, I suddenly found myself going for the opportunity. And that's where a lot of people, I think, may feel they've missed it, is opportunities will come up and either we're afraid to take the chance or we're nervous or whatever. And I always try and encourage people, please take that opportunity, take that chance, because it might not come around again. I always say opportunities are like comets. It's like they're really cool, but they don't come around very often. And it may be a very long time till you see another one. So take the opportunity, even if you mess it up.
Are you a married guy?
I am. I've been married 29 years to my beautiful wife, Julianne, and we have 2 daughters that are grown. They're 25 and 23, and we are just a very close family.
Is she an artist?
No, my wife is an amazing encourager and producer and teacher, and she was a fitness instructor for a very long time, and she's in great shape. And she worked on the Jeopardy show for 15 years back in the day too. She worked with Alex Trebek.
What did she do on the Jeopardy show?
She was in charge of the writing staff and really helped get all the questions ready for broadcast, and was really an integral part of the show for about 15 years.
Wow. Okay, so you're married to a fitness expert. You're a cartoonist that's gaining some traction. Were you self-taught? Did you teach yourself how to draw?
Yeah, I pretty much taught myself how to draw. I did when I went to college. When I went to the school I went to was Cal Arts. It's in Valencia, California. It's founded by Walt Disney. And I went there. At the time, they were one of the only animation programs in the country. And I really learned a lot, mostly from the other artists that went there, the other students. We had some great teachers, don't get me wrong, but it comes from hanging out with all those people that do what you do. Like I was hanging out with other artists who wanted to be at Disney and all these other guys and writers and painters and stuff. And it's just, you really get immersed in the field you want to get into. And it really helps you increase your level of commitment. Because you get competitive. You're like, wow, I want to be as good as that person or as good as this person.
Yeah.
And it really helped me increase my skill set and really increase my drive a lot.
Do you have some colored pencil brands that you recommend on a practical level? Do you say, this right here is if you're going to do colored pencil, this is the kind of colored pencil. I just want to get into some of the practical stuff that you do. Do you recommend a certain kind of colored pencil?
Well, you know what? I don't like colored pencils, actually. They always break on me. I usually use markers.
Hey, this isn't a political show. This isn't a political show. Don't attack the pencil makers. You like markers?
No, I like markers, and I really draw a lot on my iPad. I draw digitally a lot. I draw in a program called Procreate, and it's like a digital drawing program. And see, what I like about Procreate is the markers and the pencils are all digital, so they never run out of ink. I never have to go buy markers anymore.
The Procreate program is what it's called?
It's called Procreate. Yeah, it's great. It's a fantastic drawing program, and they're not even paying me to say that.
Okay, and do you like to work with 2 monitors on your screen, or 7 or 1, or what are your thoughts?
Oh, I work with one. I just had my iPad is kind of like my drawing pad that I work with, and I'll draw on the old school sketch pads all the time just to keep my skills sharp with pen and ink and stuff. And right now I primarily produce and I write projects, and I'll draw stuff on occasion. But I'm more of a producer now than an artist, really. I mean, I'm still an artist, but I pretty much do producing stuff now.
You look just like Jason Bateman, the actor from Teen Wolf 2. What is it like to know that you look exactly like Jason Bateman?
I have been told that so many times. That's so funny.
What's it like knowing you, or that he aspires to look like you? I mean, it's that close where he wants. What's it like knowing that you are?
Well,
I mean,
I'll say this: if I could look anything close to as good as he looks, I've really got it made. That guy, he's one of my comedy heroes, by the way.
Really?
I love him. Oh, he's so funny. It's when Arrested Development, that show came out like in 2010 or whatever. He was more. I had no idea he was so funny, and he's so brilliant on that show that I even brought him onto the Fairly Oddparents. I had him come and do a guest spot on the Fairly Oddparents.
Really?
And, he played my lead character's brother. Yeah. I got to meet him one time. You'll probably never remember him.
How did you meet him? Did you meet him at Whole Foods?
I'm sad that No. I used a fancy Hollywood casting agent back then.
Oh, really? Okay. So now, I want to ask you, because your show now, so many people know of the show, The Fairly Oddparents. What is your process like for writing a show? So let's say you're going to sit down and write a show. What's your process? Do you sit down with a sheet of paper? And what is your process like for writing a show?
Yeah, I put on a monk robe and I have a quill pen and I go up into a bell tower and I write. No, I'm kidding. I have a team of about 4 or 5 writers. I'm one of the writers as well. I'm in the writing room almost as much as the writers are. I kind of live in 2 worlds. I'm an artist, so I work with the artists all day as well. But I go in the writing room. What we do is we start off with an idea. What's the idea this week? Timmy Turner's our lead kid. He's 10 years old. What's a 10-year-old kid's problem today? Okay. Here's one. He doesn't want to get a haircut. Little boys hate to get haircuts. That's funny. How can we do that? Okay, well, Timmy doesn't want to get a haircut, so he's got 2 magic fairies that can grant his every wish. So he wishes he never had to get a haircut again. He had indestructible hair. Cool. So he's got indestructible hair, so his hair keeps growing. And at first, it looks amazing. He looks like Elvis. He looks like, he's got all this amazing hair. Girls are loving him. But then the hair doesn't stop growing, and it gets out of control. And so the hair begins to take over the city and then the world. And so now he's got to somehow unwish his wish and stop the hair from taking over the world. And that's sort of where a Fairly Oddparents episode starts from. And then it takes us about 3 weeks to write a script, adding as many jokes as possible. And then we take it into the recording booth and continue to add jokes in the recording process. And then we do a storyboard and we continue to add jokes on top of those. We add writing and as much humor as we can up until the final moment it leaves my hands. And so it's about a 3-week process of actual writing words, and then the drawing, the recording, storyboarding, and then it takes about 10 months to make one episode.
And how many people are on the team that produces the show? I mean, how many hands are involved? How many people are involved in the creation of the hit show Nickelodeon's Fairly Oddparents?
About 40 to 45 here in the States. We do the animation overseas. And so there's another crew of about 40 people over there. So I'd say about 80 people on one show. And this is probably, today, if we did it today, because we stopped making the show in 2018. So now you'd probably go a little less because there's a lot more digital work that can be done and things like that. So I'd probably go down to about 60 people, but it's still a lot of people.
Not a political show, but are you doing your overseas editing in North Korea? What are your thoughts on that?
No, not North Korea. It's South Korea. We actually did a lot of work in South Korea back in the day. And South Korea is a wonderful place. It's like Glendale, California. That's
what I hear. I've had family that actually moved there to do teaching. They were teachers over there, and they just said it's a beautiful place and very modern and just a next level. Now, I want to ask you this here, because there's somebody out there that's sitting down, to write a script, and they're not comfortable, that they're not familiar with the idea of iterations, where you write it and you go, oh, this will be great. And then you leave and you get fresh ears, fresh eyes, fresh perspective. You come back and go, on second thought, I'm going to change that line. And so a lot of people struggle. I meet a lot of entrepreneurs. What I do is people pay me to help them grow their business. And I'll see somebody who's like one lady in particular. I remember this lady. She sold gourmet cookies. And she said, Clay, I've got an idea for this next cookie. This could be like the flux capacitor of cookies. This cookie's so good, it could make time travel possible. I mean, or it could suck. I mean, it could be phenomenal or it could suck. And I said, well, you know what we're going to do? Let's go ahead and put samples out and see what people have to say. And she's like, but if I put out samples and they hate it, it would hurt my reputation. And I said, what's going to hurt your reputation is you and I having this conversation over and over and over for 5 more months because you've been sitting on this idea for years previous to meeting me, and maybe they suck, maybe they don't, but the market will tell. So she goes out there, puts out the samples. Everybody loves this particular cookie. So with the momentum of that, the next week she puts out another kind. People hate it. People hate the second one. They love the first one. And it was hard for her emotionally to deal with the fact that people loved or hated her cookies that she invested time on. How do you internally deal with iterations and refining jokes and cutting content that doesn't work and adding content? How do you deal with that?
Wow, that's an amazing question. I'll try and answer it quickly. You know, I always tell people, look, if you want to get out there and be on a stage in any way, if you want to, maybe a stage figuratively, you're not really on a stage, but let's say you want to put yourself out there, put your name out there in any way, you've got to understand that you're going to have people that like what you do and people that don't like what you do. But it's the people that are brave enough to face the fire that will succeed. And I'm as an artist, again, as a cartoonist, I start with a blank page every day. I've got to draw something that is going to get me paid today. And if I don't get paid, I got to go work somewhere else, and I can't be afraid of listen, I know there's things, okay, I'll fix this, I'll change that. You can't be afraid to change things for the better. Listen, there's going to come times where things have to get changed and people are just messing with you, or they might be wrong. They might go they want to change something just to change it. In Hollywood, you'll have 2 types of people. They want to change it to make it better, or they want to change it just so they can say they changed it. And then you have to realize, okay, which one is this? But there's a game to be played with all of this stuff, and it's just called compromise. Like, look, I did my show, The Fairly Oddparents. I did work with executives all the time that could say yes or no to this idea. Every week I had to come up with a different story. And if I didn't play nice with these people, the show wouldn't go forward. And by the way, it's one of those things where these execs are people just like me. They want to enjoy the people they work with. So if you want to get to a certain level, there's going to be people that are going to come alongside you that you're going to have to learn how to work with. And if you don't have the guts for that, it's unfortunate, but maybe there's something else you should think about doing. But if you want to be a leader and be a boss, like sell those cookies, man, get out there. Of course, people aren't going to like your cookies all the time, but some of them might.
Now,
by the way, the ones that might.
Now, my final 4 questions here for you. Sorry, cut out there for a second. Final 4 questions I have for you is your wife. Not a political show. James, this is not a political show. You know this. Okay,
right.
James is an attorney. He's a friend of mine. He's on the shows from time to time.
By the way, am I talking too much? I'll quiet down if I'm talking too much.
No, you're doing great. They're just doing great.
This is your show.
This is your show. And this is the thing, is not a political show. But let's talk about the wife for a second. The wives. My wife oftentimes will say, "Hey, you know what? I really enjoyed that podcast you did with this person. Oh, that was good." And I go, "Yes, yeah." And I never remember that though. I mean, I have it on my show notes to remember it. But usually when she says, "I didn't like that show, it didn't work. That wasn't a thing," I remember that show, and I remember the hate, the hate and the lack of. And I'm like, "What is the deal with the most critical person ever?" And it's taken me about almost 6.5 years to really just basically this week. I'm now to a point where I can accept criticism from my wife without freaking out there. So how do you deal with? I mean, does your wife watch your show? Is she a fan of the show? Have you have a rule as a couple where you say, "Babe, we can't have political division in this house. You're going to love every show I do"? Do you have a rule that she gives you feedback? Not how do you? Because you don't have a house divided. I mean, how do you deal with that internally?
Well, listen, my wife is brutally honest, and she's always been very, very supportive of me. And to be quite honest, when I was making the cartoons, she really was a huge supporter of all the cartoons.
Really?
And if there was a joke in there she didn't like, she'd say, "Oh, that wasn't very funny. Maybe you can try better next time." And of course, that is the one comment you remember.
Yeah.
But no, always very supportive. And we really weren't working together too much back then. I would kind of just go to work and make the show, and our kids were very little, and she was an amazing mother raising our children. And we'd watch the show at night when they came on and all this stuff, and my girls were growing up. But lately, we've been working together a lot more, my wife and I. We do podcasts together. We do all kinds of stuff together, and we run our company together. So there's a lot more, let's just say, honesty coming out these days. But you've got to learn to take that, because if you don't learn how to listen to each other or grow with each other, you're not going to go anywhere. And that's where people, there's a thing in the Bible where Jesus says, if you want to follow me, you need to deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. So the denial of self is a huge thing. And when you learn how to deny yourself and listen to somebody else, that will really move you into places you really want to go.
Now we have 3 more questions here. And then my next question for you,
Yeah.
you appear to be, 1, a clone of Jason Bateman, and then 2, a guy who gets a lot of stuff done. You're making a lot of traction, and you've got to have some sort of daily habit or some sort of flow or routine. How do you schedule the first 4 hours of your day? I mean, I know the first probably 3.5 hours are spent doing whatever it is you do to look like Jason Bateman, but I mean, what are you doing during the first 4 hours every day?
Well, I call it the Bateman the Bateman process. That's what I call it in the morning. That's what I do. No, but I get up about 6 o'clock in the morning. I read my Bible for an hour. I work out for 45 minutes. I make breakfast for my wife and myself. I do a shower, and then I get to work. I'm up about 3 hours before I get to my office, and so by the time I get to my office, I'm pretty fired up and ready to go and charged up.
What was your last workout?
I just love being. What's that?
What was your last workout?
What it was this morning, and I did a bunch of push-ups, did some weights, did some curls, the dumbbells, that kind of thing, and then I get on my bike. I get on my stationary bike, and that's when I do my social media when I'm on my bike.
And do you, when you're doing the workout, are you listening to certain music? I mean, are you a big Chariots of Fire guy? Are you going with the Rocky soundtrack? Do you listen to music at all? Are you listening to monk music?
I actually listen to a lot of inspirational stuff. I listen to a lot of biblical teaching. I listen to a lot of podcasts about entrepreneurship and things like that. And just kind of feeding the fire during that, because I just want to learn as much as I possibly can.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now, James.
And then if I can get closer to Bateman's look, that any podcast based on that.
Does your wife know that you're not Jason Bateman? I mean, have you had that discussion?
Don't say anything. That's how I got in the first place.
Oh, okay. Now listen, folks. Listen. This is not a political show, and many of you are wanting me to take it there. Some of you are saying, take it there, take it there. I'm not going to do that. James, you're an attorney. That's where you always take it. You're the attorney from New York. He's from New York. He moved here from Manhattan. James, what question would you have for Butch Hartman, a.k.a. the real Jason Bateman?
The real Jason Bateman.
All right. Well, nice to meet you, Butch. Okay, so
nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. All right, so the question I have is, as I understand it, you've been in the space, the Nickelodeon space, animation space. You're dealing with, the stuff that
he's in space.
Kids. Yeah, he's in space.
Yes.
Do you have any interest in doing features or expanding into other sort of, I guess, demographic or genres, or I'm not really sure what the right word to use, but adult stuff?
Yeah, for
kids
sure.
Stuff?
That's a good question, Counselor. My wife and I are starting our own streaming service. We're starting a streaming service, and it's going to be 100% family based, meaning it's going to be for the family. Our goal is to have only family friendly content on it, and it's called O Access Entertainment. And we're real excited. We did a Kickstarter a couple years ago to get it started, and it's taken a couple of years to get our platform developed and get the people around us that we need, but we are ready to get this thing going, and we're so excited. And
what website? What's the website for that?
Oh, it's called oaccess.tv. It's OAX as in access. It's basically the word access with an O in front of it. oaxis.tv. That's our website. You can go there and find out more. And we should be getting a beta test done very soon. And we're real excited about it, because I want to go from making one show at a time to making dozens and dozens of shows at a time. Movies, sitcoms, animation, all kinds of other stuff. And we are just really thrilled to do that. So we're going to hopefully be stepping up a level. And you talk about learning a lot. Boy, there's a lot that goes along with this.
Now, my final question, I'm going to sneak in a bonus fry question, and then I'll hit you with my real final question. My little bonus fry, the extra one here. You went to In-N-Out Burger, you found an extra fry. Nothing wrong with that. You realize your kids say, "Can I go to the bathroom?" You say, "Sure." They leave. You grab the bonus fry out of their bag. They don't know. That's how good this is.
It's like taking food from a baby.
That's right, or from a toddler who's in the bathroom in and out. So you there's so many things that could distract you? So many opportunities coming at you now because you work so hard to be wanted. You work so hard to get traction. You work so hard for someone to appreciate your cartoons. Everybody out there, we're all out there working to get our thing out there. And now there's opportunities flying in. Emails, text messages, social media. Some people are upset. Some people are happy. Some people say you need to work with me. Some people say you need to work with him. You need to work with her. You should collaborate. How do you decide what to say yes to?
That's a very good question, man. I think when you have your goals in place, when you have your goals ahead of you, and I'm definitely not perfect in any way, but I do the best to stick with the things that are going to help me attain the goal I've got in my head. Do I get distracted all the time? What I try and stay is I'm a very routine oriented person too. I get kind of boring sometimes. I do the same thing every day as far as, getting ready for work and doing the goals I got to do. But I try and keep it fresh by having a lot of young people around me. Like I have a few interns in the office and a few employees that are in their 20s and just learning about what's cool to them and what they're focused on. And I kind of allow myself to learn from them because I think you really have to when you get into your 50s, especially what's going on out there, what's important to people,
Are you 50?
I'm 56.
Get out of here. This is an audio-only show, folks. Listen, most of you who listen to our show know that the vast majority of our shows are audio-only, and sometimes we do video, and I'll tell you why we don't do always video, because sometimes guests say, I want to get my makeup on, I want to get the background lighting done, there's a lot of that going on, and so I chose to do audio-only today because you were so kind to let us interview you today, and therefore I wanted to make it easier to say yes. But
I have a fun fact for you.
What's your fun fact?
Guess when Jason Bateman was born? Guess what his birthday is, Butch?
You're gonna tell me it's today? Is it today?
No, January 14th, and you were 4 days before him, right? January 10th.
January 10th. Are we the same year?
He's 1969.
I'm 65. Okay, I'm 4 years older than Jason Bateman. So when I replace him, I'll have to just be a little farther away from his wife. She doesn't recognize him.
Now, my final question for you, though, sincerely, is people out there, they're seeking wisdom. If you had to give somebody one advice, or what's the one thing you want to share with our we have about 1 million weekly listeners. What's the one message you want to communicate to our listeners? Anything you want. It could be anything, not political though. Anything you want to share with our listeners from coast to coast that you want to share. We have many listeners, most in America. We have a lot in Australia. We do have South Korea represented. We have a lot of Canadians, a lot of folks in Mexico. What's the message you want to share with our listeners?
Wow, that's a great question. I want to sound as profound as possible. I probably won't, but I just want to tell you guys not to give up on your goal. I think your goal was put in your heart for a reason, and if you're not achieving it, don't feel bad. I think everything's a process. It's like a plant that grows. It starts off as a little stalk, and then it gets bigger and bigger. Everything's a process. Don't hate the process, embrace the process, and know that your goal will be attained. And by the time you get to that goal, you'll be a lot stronger because your roots have gone down so deep. So just, keep guys, embrace. And if you can do this too, I would tell my younger self this: have fun pursuing your goal. Don't get frustrated. Get rid of the fear, because the fear is just not worth it. And anybody who's against you, they're just looking at your success as their own failure. And it's unfortunate, but that's kind of what happens sometimes. Just embrace the process.
You, my friend, are an American treasure. I tell you what, if we can ever get your body double backup, Jason Bateman, who wants to be you on the show, I'm going to get him on the show, and I'm going to talk to him about how he looks like Butch Hartman. And and that's what I'm going to do. I want to get an interview where you two are on the same show. That's what I want to do.
That would be awesome. I'm a huge fan of his. I really, truly am. I think he's hysterical, and I would love to meet him and tell him how much how lucky he is to look like me, basically, right?
Hey, I appreciate you so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I really do appreciate your time.
All right, hey, guys, thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and I hope to talk again sometime.
All right, take care, brother. All right, Thrive Nation, we like to end each and every show with a boom, because boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. And that is what is required to grow your business, to take your career to the next level. You have to learn how to bring the boom on a daily basis. You got to bring that enthusiasm, folks. Every day you've got to bring that big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum every single day on a daily basis if you want to go to the next level. And so we're going to end the show with a boom. But Andrew, are you psychologically prepared to end the show with a boom?
I am so psychologically ready to bring the boom.
James, are you feeling the flow? Are you ready to go? Are you feeling physically ready to bring the boom?
Feeling the flow, feeling physically ready to bring the boom.
Riding the bull.
Riding the bull.
Feeling the flow.
Feeling the flow. Here we go.
Working it.
Here we go. But I don't want to do it too early because I feel like
Nope.
I get the right
still
time.
riding
Gotta feel the flow.
The real question is, when would Jason Bateman bring the boom?
Jason Bateman would bring the boom after he felt the flow.
Okay, give me just a second. Let me wait.
Feel
for
it?
I think we're there.
I think.
Are you ready
I'm
now?
ready.
I'm ready.
Come on.
Wait for it. Here we go.
Don't get off at the top.
Here we go. Here we go. Feeling the flow. Everybody
Ride
get
the
ready. Here we
carousel.
go. Here we go.
Up and down.
3. No, I see. I was ready to go, and then
We're
you
out of the
started
flow.
telling me to
Ride
get
the carousel.
Listen,
Goes
I
up and
was
down.
I was ready.
You changed
I was
rhythm.
ready.
You changed the rhythm.
Oh,
That's the
gosh.
problem. It's
You have to reset.
it's like the great.
The great reset.
great
We
reset.
got political. Get out of here.
It's the. Oh, geez. Okay, stay out of the political weeds. Here we
That's
go.
right.
This isn't the great reset, but this is the great reset for the boom.
That's right.
Okay.
We're back in the flow.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.
Boom.